What's up, everybody? Baby Huey here, and joining me once again is my tag team partner, BrianTronic. How's it going, man?
Woo!
Of course. Your girl. I should know.
Yes.
First off, for the Kliqsters out there who don't know, BrianTronic is the biggest Charlotte Flair fan that I know. Needless to say, if you've been paying attention, obviously her name's been all over all the various websites, social media over the last week. So I've been counting down the days, the hours, the minutes, the seconds, all that to talk to Brian and get his thoughts on Charlotte Flair, which we will in a few minutes. But yes, here we are. We are still on the road to WrestleMania. Brian, it is. So we are recording today on Friday, a little after like lunchtime here, and SmackDown will be premiering or going live in a few hours. So my goal is to us record here and then get this episode out there ASAP. And yeah, after today, WrestleMania is going to be a week away next weekend. I can't believe it. I feel like we've been talking about forever. Sorry for no episode last week. It was just a really crazy week work-wise, and full disclosure, I had like a full rock and roll week. Yeah, my friends band Trivium were in town, and went to see them in San Francisco and then Sacramento. Actually, technically Wheatland. They played the Masonic in San Francisco. Then on Thursday and Friday, they played at the Hard Rock Live inside the Hard Rock Casino Wheatland, which is like 30 miles or excuse me, like 30 minutes outside Sacramento. So that was a drive, but it was worth it to see them. But I do want to shout out, I did talk to lead singer Matt Hafey. That interview is on the Bones YouTube channel. Please share it or please check it out. Matt and Trivium, if you guys don't know, is from Orlando, Florida. Also the home of WWE's Performance Center. A lot of wrestlers live in that area. And Matt has actually become friends with some of the guys there, specifically Baron Corbin, or formerly known Baron Corbin, and also Damian Priest. And so we do touch on that in my interview with him. Baron Corbin, he gave him a couple of his signature guitars, and he also did like some guest vocals on Baron Corbin's new theme song or his new music outside of WWE. What's his real name's Tom something. I totally blank. Pestock, that's right. I know he debuted in MLW Battle Riot last weekend. I have to check that out and see if he has the music with Matt's vocals on there. I have to check that out. So very cool. But he's also made friends with Damian Priest, and gave him one of his guitars as well. And I know Damian Priest, he's also been in the news. It's announced he's going to be hosting the Slayer concert later on this year. That's so awesome. Damian Priest. Awesome. And for you guys who don't know, Damian Priest's finisher is called South of Heaven, which is a Slayer song. So it's so cool that Damian Priest is going to be hosting a Slayer concert later on this year, and he just posted on his Instagram and stuff. So I'm super excited for him, and I wish I could talk some metal with both those guys at some point. But yes, so anyway, I was out of town, and then went to Machine Head on Saturday, so I was very busy last week. So this episode, we're gonna do a lot of catch up here, and since SmackDown is gonna be airing in a few hours from the time we're recording, we'll touch on SmackDown, some of the highlights there, specifically for Brian, Charlotte Flair, Tiffany Stratton. But this episode will focus more on Raw. A lot happened on Raw, and we're starting to get more matches finalized and officially announced for WrestleMania this year. So, Brian, all right, let's jump right into it. Let's talk about Monday Night Raw this week. So much happened. First, they actually aired a video package for Cody Rhodes, talking about he's the last of his kind, and it kind of just sums up Cody Rhodes' run so far in WWE. I'm kind of curious your take on this video package for him.
It was great. You know, I had seen the spoiler right before they played it on Twitter. I forgot, someone tweeted out and it's like, "Oh, Cody Rhodes is gonna have a video package with the Shabuzi song." It's a pretty good song. I actually really like that song, but it hit. It's like one of those video packages that you only see at WrestleMania during WrestleMania season.
Yeah.
And I felt like, dang, you know, we're so wrapped up in the builds and like the, you know, week to week, what's going on and how these matches are going to come together. You kind of forget how much of an impact these video packages make and how much better and how much more hype you get from the video packages, the music they select, the clips that they use. And it kind of made me a little more excited for the match. I'm like, wow, this is kind of hitting right now.
Yeah, I'm with you. First off, thank you for bringing that up because we grew up in an era like the Attitude Era with all those
Hmm.
video packages. Of course, probably the greatest one is the Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Rock WrestleMania 17, Limp
Yep.
Bizkit, My Way soundtrack or for that video package there. I love it. Get you extra hyped up here.
Yep.
And this video package, I love it. Just kind of really summed up what Cody Rhodes means for WWE right now, his love from the fans and just what he's kind of been through these last it's been 3 years now since he
Yeah.
signed with the company and re-debut with them back in Dallas 3 years ago,
Mhm.
WrestleMania in Dallas, which we were there for. If you watch the broadcast, you can see us on the floor during
Yep.
Stone Cold. We gotta screenshot that again. I gotta reshare that. But anyway, but that's the thing. I'm surprised they don't do more of these video packages. You think about it, especially Triple H. He grew up, or he was wrestling during an era where those video packages were used a lot more. And I even remember on NXT for a few years, leading up to takeovers, they had those. Was it On Target? That was the kind of
Hmm.
name, the branding for those video packages.
Yeah.
They should bring those back. Do more of those.
I feel like we've seen a lot more of them in the Triple H era, right? I know, like in the beginning of, like right before, the year leading up to Netflix, I feel like there was a video package for everything. Like
Yeah.
even like if there was a main event, we would get a video package on social media, like just to get everybody hyped. I feel
Hmm.
like maybe and hopefully, I feel like this year maybe he's saving a lot of the video packages for WrestleMania, and
Hmm.
I feel like we'll get a lot of them for that. I think with the absence of Cody and Cena after what 3 straight weeks in a row, I felt like it
Hmm.
was necessary to release and put out that video package, that hype package to remind you, hey, look, this is the champion. He's been through all of this up to this
Yeah.
point. I feel like Cena is a big test. It's a big moment. It's a big match for Cody. So
Hmm.
I'm excited for it.
And I think really to show who he is, what he represents as a champion, it really
Yeah.
was cool seeing him doing in this highlight package, him coming out to the fans, him with obviously the torn pec, the make a wish stuff he's done. Just
Hmm.
really, he is the number one face for this company.
Hmm.
And I think it really kind of debunks a lot of stuff John Cena brought up in the promo last week, which we can talk about right now. So last week on Monday Night Raw, it was the third promo between Cody Rhodes and John Cena. The big takeaway was John Cena was calling out Cody Rhodes, saying he's not authentic. What you see on TV is not really him. And which is interesting. When we go through some of the highlights, what they talked about. But Brian, what did you think of this third promo between the three of excuse me, between the three of them, between the two of them from this from last week's Monday Night Raw?
I thought it was good. It was by far the best promo. Sometimes you got to save the best for last. You know what I mean? You just have to just that this 3 weeks was the definition of just wait and see what happens.
Yes.
Yeah, that's been a common thing with WWE right over the last few years. But just wait and see what happens. I felt like they saved the best for last. It wasn't quite it wasn't your typical or what people would expect from a back and forth from Cena and Cody or whoever, right? But it was definitely, I felt like Cody fought back. He had a lot to say, and Cena these days is he doesn't have a lot to say. I feel like that's what's frustrating fans about this build, and I'm sure we'll get more into it, later. We've said a lot, but I
Mhm.
feel like that's what's frustrating to some people is that he hasn't really said much. He's been saying a lot of the same things, but at the same time, he's not. I thought that this
Mhm.
this back and forth, this exchange between the two, I thought it was really good. I thought Cena, you know, he basically told him his why, right?
Yeah.
He told him his why. I felt like that, whether it was the explanation that we were all expecting or not, still an explanation. It was still good in my opinion.
Yeah, that's the thing. So over these last 3 promos, we can break it up. It's almost like an old school essay. Remember when you were
Mhm.
in school, you have your
Mhm.
intro, and then in that intro, you give your 3 reasons for
Yep.
believing in this topic, and then the next 3 paragraphs, each paragraph represents a different reasoning, and then you have your conclusion for a 5-paragraph essay for all you
Mhm.
youngsters out there who remember doing essays in elementary or middle school, even high school is still. But yeah, that was like the outline of a 5-paragraph essay. So for Cena, the first promo between the two of them was him explaining why he's mad at the fans. We talked about in
Mhm.
depth a couple podcasts ago. The following week, he talked about why he wants to win the championship, what he wants to do with that. He wants to break the record. He wants to have the name at the top of the record books. He wants everyone to just remember him, and he wants to what was it, kill wrestling or oh, what was the tagline? But and he thinks he's the last living real champion. So everything he talks about,
What is it? The last real champ, or
last real champ, and but that was the second reason why he acting the way he is, why he went heel. He wants to win the championship, break the record. And then this third promo is John Cena explaining why he's mad at Cody Rhodes and why he doesn't like him right now, all that stuff. So I give John Cena credit. They spread out each promo with a different reason, explain for his heel turn. My only issue is there it still feels kind of half-assed, kind of. They could have done a lot more. And we talked about this on a previous episode. I really still wish he would have went all heel as far as a new look, new theme song. And listen, I know in the first promo he explained why he wasn't going to do all that. I still think the real reason this was a last minute decision, and they know they're going to make a lot of money off merch for his last run, his last
yeah.
year in the company. So they don't want to screw up those plans. So they're like, okay, got to come up with a quick excuse that you got to explain to the fans why you're not changing your whole presentation. I still
Mhm.
not a fan of that completely. And then the other thing too is just he still didn't really acknowledge The Rock, like why he aligned with himself. The Rock, he does once say one sentence about The Rock in this promo, but it was still not explaining why align himself with The Rock. What does he get by working with The Rock? And yeah, even still, in the last 3 weeks, you've not seen them have any follow up between the two of them. No segment between The Rock and John Cena. Cena explained why he followed The Rock's orders. None of that. And to me, that's frustrating on this build.
Mhm.
It's almost like the heel turn at Elimination Chamber with The Rock. That was one thing. And then it's like an alternate timeline of just Cena by himself as a heel. I'm not fully buying that. And it's still just frustrating. And it's not, I want more of an explanation to be fully embrace this storyline here. The other thing too is just John Cena. I feel like his heel version of him now, these last few weeks, it still
Mhm.
feels like the presentation or his delivery still feels very cartoony.
Yeah.
Like I want to say cringe is the word, but it feels kind of, he's still
Like
kind
he's
of like
acting.
he's trying to act like a heel,
Yeah.
and I don't feel it like he fully believes in it. It really, like
Mhm.
I said, this feels like a last minute decision. Like who
Yeah.
knows, what happened behind the scenes, plans change and whatnot. But this was a last
Mhm.
minute, as we talked about a couple weeks ago, there was a rumor that The Rock originally want Cody to turn heel on John Cena. Cody turned it down. So then the backup plan B was, all right, John Cena turned heel. So it was a last minute decision. And so they're kind of writing this as they go. And so John Cena delivering these heel lines, I just don't fully believe it. It feels very cartoony to me still. And I'm like,
Yeah.
like it just doesn't feel like menacing. Like I don't fear for Cody's life in this situation. But all right, let's talk about some of the highlights here from this promo. I did like they both came in the ring this time back to back. Normally it's been
Mhm.
the first two. Cena came in by himself, cuts his extended promo, then Cody comes out, says what he has to say, and then John Cena leaves. This one, they both were in the ring at the beginning, and I
Yep.
like Cody Rhodes like took charge first and says, "Listen, I know you're trying to cook me," and he starts listing off things that John Cena could make fun of him about: his lisp, his tattoo, getting
Mhm.
booed out of AEW, all that
Mhm.
stuff. I did appreciate Cody kind of taking the charge here, especially as the champion, taking the lead here. Then Cody Rhodes. remember, hey, years ago, we used to ride together. They used to sing together in the car. And Cody's told Cena, I know you deep down, you do care about the fans. So why'd you turn on them? Why'd you turn on everyone? And then I like how John Cena rebutted, said, um, let's see. Cena said he would not reduce himself and punch down the Rhodes level. Cena wouldn't protect Rhodes because he's been protected long enough. Cena wouldn't cook Rhodes. He would bury him just like he buried everyone else. And John says he's been accused of burying talent for years. And that's because John Cena was a talent. He buried mediocrity. And Cena didn't care about Cody Rhodes, his lisp, and all his other failures. He's just mad that Cody Rhodes has been following his coattails for success. And he's mad that he pretty much handed Cody Rhodes the heartbeat of the organization over to his chauffeur. Like, I thought that was a cool little line there.
Yep.
And that Cody Rhodes was nothing more than a slimy pickpocket who stole the blueprint for success just because he was riding in the car for so many years with John Cena. It's like, if it wasn't for John Cena, Cody Rhodes wouldn't be successful. That's ultimately what Cena was getting at there.
Right.
And that disgusted John Cena seeing Cody Rhodes with that title, a title that he, built up and it just feels like, if like I said, it wasn't for John Cena, Cody Rhodes wouldn't have that title. And he just thought Cody Rhodes has been just totally underwhelming. And he just thinks Cody Rhodes is not authentic. What we see on TV is not the real Cody Rhodes. He's a phony, and that the fans will see that, which that line or that part of the promo is interesting because for a while now, people have been calling Cody Rhodes like a politician, the way he's been kind of presented. He always says the right thing. He looks great. He's dressed well. I wonder if they ever turn Cody Rhodes heel in the future. That's a line they can always go back to. And John Cena be like, I told you so.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think that that's something they could always rehash?
I think so. I mean, they could they can use it even as soon as WrestleMania.
Yes.
I feel like with everything that John Cena is saying about Cody, you could look at it as definitely like maybe all of it is planting seeds for an eventual
Heel turn.
heel turn for Cody Rhodes. I'm sure a Cody Rhodes heel turn is something that's even still on the table to this day, like, because you never know how the WrestleMania crowd might react, or how a crowd might react after WrestleMania, depending on what happens. So still got a lot to go on this Cena World Tour.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing too, is keep in mind, like, I feel like Triple H and his crew, they do a good part of, like, I think planting seeds or laying Easter eggs just to have it out there. And if they ever want to come back to it, they know they at least put it out there to begin with. For example, I think like Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre, not to go on a separate tangent, but their build, if you look back on the last year, they had a lot of moments and run-ins together that it really comes together nicely for why they're on this warpath against each other. There was a lot of Easter eggs there. So I think for Triple H, then they're like, let's at least say this or do this. And then that way, maybe 6 months from now, a year from now, year and a half from now, if we go a different direction with someone's character, we have these Easter eggs from the past that we can refer to.
Right.
So I think it's just a good backup plan for people. I also like John Cena said, you're only popular because you made a catchy tune to trick people into liking your mediocrity. And he told them, Cena says he made that title a symbol of mastery, and he's upset that it's being paraded around by a Nepo baby. And which has been brought up a lot this last week, even with the Charlotte Flair stuff, which we'll get into. And Cena told him to go to Fanatics and buy a toy belt at WrestleMania. And he's, like you said, Cena thinks he's the last real champion. He's going to take that title home forever and expose Rhodes as the errand boy who got lucky. Wow. So
that was a good line.
Yes, and that's the thing. Like, on paper, what I'm reading here, these are good, valid points why Cena is upset at Cody. But like I said, kind of the delivery's cartoony. So I'm not like fully like, oh my God, Cody, you're in trouble now. It feels like I wish Cody would come back and say, listen, I know you're at the end of the road of your career. You're frustrated. You're worried that you're never going to break that record. You're desperate for it now. And look at
Mhm.
you. You're letting that you went to the dark side because of your desperation and you're so worried about going out on top. I wish he would kind of acknowledge him like you're an old man. You're the old man.
Yeah.
I got
Yeah.
tons of year ahead of me left. You're the old man that's desperate. But they didn't get into that at some point. Cody Rhodes said, I like what Cody said here, that Cena might be right. Maybe he was chosen, but he was chosen by the fans. Rhodes wondered if Cena could say the same. Was it the fans or a guy in an office who isn't here anymore and we can't talk about it? So obviously acknowledging like Vince McMahon's like, dude, how dare you say like I'm not authentic? The fans didn't want me. You were handpicked by Vince McMahon to be his champion. So love that line. Let's see.
Very true.
This one,
Very true.
this one I'm confused though. He said he was Cody is a wrestler like his father. If anyone was a company creation, it was John Cena. People were afraid of Cena on the mic, but Rhodes wasn't because Cena had more dick on the mic than in his jorts. I Cena insulted him for acting like a 16-year-old taking public speaking lessons, but Cena was the one hanging out with Zac Efron, wishing he was 16. So I was trying to like, what was Cody trying to mean? More dick on the mic than his jorts? Like, is he trying to say like he's telling Cena he has a big dong and that gives him extra confidence on the microphone? Like,
Oh.
I mean, like real, like I'm trying to like a lot of people were confused by that line. So
Yeah, I'm not sure, man. I feel like that portion of the promo, it was like I'm gonna say something that's gonna get you, and then you're gonna say I'm gonna say this, and it was just like very like I don't know, like high school stuff.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
something that's something the kids would say these days, you know.
Cody Rhodes was on TikTok looking for lines or something.
Yeah.
Let's see. But Cody
Little
added
Brody taught him that.
it's something little Brody would say. Cody added that Cena made so many disenfranchise. Oh my god, I'm totally busting up on that word. Disenfranchised fans that made it easy for Rhodes to pack up and go elsewhere. He told Cena not to act like he left the business better than when he found it. And between the two of them, Cena was the one who sold out to The Rock. So that was the only part they acknowledged The Rock, but they never explained why would Cena sell out to The Rock? What did he get out of it? Remember, Rock was pursuing Cody to sell his soul, and he's like, listen, I could take you from here to up here. Cena is up there at almost at The Rock's level. So, like, what does he get by aligning with The Rock? And they don't explain that in detail at all, which is still frustrating. It's just like creating these plot holes in this story, which I'm frustrated with. I think a lot of people are frustrated with.
May- Maybe they want us to forget so that
Rock's not going
maybe
to come back.
maybe they want us to forget because maybe they want The Rock to show up at
Yeah.
WrestleMania, and
Yeah.
maybe we'll get the answers there because he did tell Cody that he could take him to the top. He can put him in position, and maybe The Rock is the reason why Cena will be champion, and there it is. That's the explanation right there. Like that's all we need. Oh, that's why, because like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It does kind of suck up to this point why we haven't really gotten a clear explanation on why he sided with The Rock, because that was such a big moment, and to have no follow up unless on the go home show there's some kind of explanation or some kind of foreshadow, or I don't know, man.
Yeah.
It does suck though.
Cody Rhodes said Cena was still his hero, even though he was a piece of crap. And then John Cena responded, said that Cody's brain's full of poo poo and not facts, that he worked 100 times harder than Cody Rhodes, and he was never protected by the fans or a superstar taking their best shot at him. Everyone took their strongest swing when he was in the ring, and no one's ever been worthy, and he had to do it all by himself. So I do gotta give Cena credit. There were a lot of times everyone was trying to go after him and say their best lines, call him out, but Cena always knew how to respond back on the microphone and not let anyone take him down.
Right.
Cena always made things great no matter what garbage they gave him. So a little shot at the bad creative he had to deal with over the years and still make it good. Uh, and
Yep.
then and he said Cody Rhodes had to leave WWE originally because he couldn't wipe Cena's ass. And I love this line. This is what a lot of people were focusing on. John Cena made empires for billionaires, while Cody Rhodes only stole money from their kids. And then Cena dropped the mic. So for anyone who doesn't put the two together, a dig at Tony Khan that Cody Rhodes took money from the Khan family by way of Tony Khan to start AEW. And so Cena's trying to leave the ring, and Cody Rhodes wanted to know one more thing. Never once had the fans chanted at him, "You can't wrestle." And John Cena got mad. He came back into the ring, tried to do a cheap shot, but Cody Rhodes countered him with the crossroads, and everyone was cheering for Cody. So listen, it's very surface level. It's obvious, like, okay, there's a connection there between the two of them, that they were friends for a long time. They rode together while Cena was on top back in the day. Cody was, his ride along when he was still legacy or starting out. So I do appreciate their connecting the dots there of their history, that they do go way back. And Cena is calling him out, thinking he's not authentic. This current presentation of Cody is not the real Cody.
Yeah.
And then Cody responding like, listen, you kind of had it nice too. You were handpicked by Vince McMahon to be the guy, and don't fault me. Like I had a tougher road to the top, and I bust my ass, and like wrestling's in my DNA, and I love this business. So I do love what they talked about in exchange here. But like I said, some of the plot holes, as I talked about earlier with The Rock and John Cena's delivery, is that stuff is still kind of bothers me, and why I'm not fully embraced in this feud. Even though like the promos have been fun to watch in a vacuum, if you're just watching these three promos, you're like, oh, this is great stuff. But big picture, when you look at the other things going on around there to get to this point, I'm still frustrated with the details that they seem to be avoiding. So I don't know if there's anything else here, Brian, from this promo we need to touch on, or you took away from it.
No, but I do have a question. What do you think? In order, what for you? What do you for you? What needs to be done in this build? They got what one more week, right?
Yeah. So next week in Sacramento, the Raw.
Right.
Well, the problem is, like, I already know, like, Cena was on Raw this past Monday. He's on Raw next week. So it's just, unless Cody goes out there and just asks these questions and does a promo by himself and say, listen, John, I still want to know. I still have answers, or excuse me, I still have questions to stuff we talked about. I still don't know why you align yourself with The Rock. Why'd you give him your soul when I refused to? Like, maybe just rhetorically speaking, bring up that stuff. Be like, hey, Rock, it's Rock. Hey, John, why'd you align yourself with The Rock, a guy that you've hated for years and didn't get along with? And just maybe just rhetorically put it out there, and then maybe puts it back on John Cena to answer at some point. So
I was expecting Cena to tie in like the Hollywood and the fact that they're movie stars and it being a no-brainer, and the fact that he wants number 17 and Rock's on the board, and he's worked so hard, and everybody else has it easy, and he's and it's his time. Everyone's time is up, my time is not, something. That's what I was expecting in the beginning of this, but we'll see.
No, we'll see what happens next. Like I said, they got one more Raw before WrestleMania, so I just feel like it's gonna be Cody Rhodes cutting a promo next week by himself, and
he's there. He's supposed to be there tonight.
Oh, that's right, on SmackDown. Yeah.
Maybe he'll say something tonight, or they got one more SmackDown before. So,
okay, we'll see. Okay. All right, next up, another storyline that I feel like was kind of half-assed put together, and I'm not fully buying it, is the triple threat now between Io Sky, Rhea Ripley, and Bianca Belair. This is so thrown together, and it just, the logic here doesn't make sense, and I'm a little frustrated here. So as we saw on last week's episode of Monday Night Raw, Io Sky took on Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair was the special guest referee for the Women's World Championship. It ultimately ended in a DQ, double DQ, because Bianca Belair just got frustrated. She was getting knocked around by both of them during the match. And she's like, that's it. I've had it. This match is off. They're both double disqualified. And then it turned to a brawl afterwards. Rhea Ripley started rip-tying Bianca Belair. This week on Monday Night Raw, all three women come out to the ring with Adam Pearce, and Adam Pearce takes a little dig at them. It's like, I thought you guys can handle this and be professional, but you guys can't be professional in this situation. So he just says, you know what? This is going to be a triple threat now. And here's a new contract that everyone can sign. So it's like the old contract from a couple weeks ago that Rhea Ripley stole and just tried to add her name to it, which was not legally binding. And now he just makes up a new contract. All right, this is all for all three of you. To me, it's like, this doesn't make sense, because Rhea Ripley, you can even say this is kind of like a heel, like, as far as she just kept like sticking her nose in everyone's business, and by sheer luck, by just being that annoying person, kept forcing her way in, attacking both of them. She just got her way, and she got added in as a third person, triple threat. If I was Bianca Belair, I'd be like, hell no. Listen, I want Elimination Chamber. I want a one-on-one match at WrestleMania. Sorry, Rhea Ripley, you're not wrestling this year at WrestleMania. Go sit in catering and maybe you have a chance next year. But no, I mean, to Bianca Belair, to her credit, she tried to cut like a babyface promo and says, you know what? I'm tired of your BS. Go ahead, add her to the match. Fine, add her. I'll take both of you on. So at least for her, she's trying to be a babyface here, a strong babyface. Like, listen, I'm tired of both of them. I will accept this challenge and take on both of them. So at least for her, in her mind, she's trying to be the hero here and be like, you know what? I'll take on all comers. But realistically, she had a case here to say, nah, this is not fair. So, and then poor Io Sky, she's getting pushed around again. She's the champion, but she gets pushed around to the side, like disrespecting her. I like how she did the jump off the ropes, drop kicking Rhea into Bianca. That was cool. What's that called? Oh my god! When you jump off the springboard. Thank you. Sorry. That was cool, but it just, to me, the logic here doesn't make sense. If I'm Bianca Belair, I'd be like, listen, I want Elimination Chamber. I defeat 5 other women that night. And she brought up like 2 of her friends, busted each other up that night as well. And emotionally, she's been going through a lot. And so Rhea Ripley is like being the spoiled brat here, if you want to say, to a certain extent. She stole the contract a couple weeks ago, signed it. She's like making faces backstage, acting kind of like a child, which we talked about in a previous podcast. She ultimately got her way. So Ryan, try to make sense of all this.
I can't, man. I tried to for like a few weeks in my head, like, but now I think I confused myself, because I originally thought Bianca Belair was the heel. Like, it's funny because like the whole country of Europe was booing Bianca, and everyone's like, why are they booing her? And I'm thinking, are you guys not what? Like, she's a bad guy. Like, what? Bianca's a bad. Like, what do you mean? Like, and the reason why I felt like that, I think why this whole story coming together was a little weird and didn't make sense. It seems like they completely pivoted. I think they pivoted too quickly from Naomi and Jade. I know that Naomi and Jade kind of branched off and they started doing their thing, but Naomi was a really important piece of that. I know that when they cut that promo, when her and Naomi had that segment, she branched off and she went away and she did, was like, I'm done with you. But I don't know. Part of me still felt like she could have come back and maybe she was gonna align herself with Naomi, like this was our plan all along type thing. That's why I thought it was weird. That's why I thought it was weird when she did win Elimination Chamber. I was like, well, what's gonna happen now? Like, how does she break it? How does she break off with the other 2, right? But her coming in this, I'm thinking, okay, well, she's a bad guy. Like, she's, I don't know, Bianca. And then some people will argue and say that Bianca she's not a heel. She's black woman angry. Is that why you call her heel? No, that's not why I think she's a heel. I just think like her demeanor, her swagger, like it's different and it comes off very heelish. But
Yeah.
then, like you say, and everyone else has been saying, they have a point. Like Rhea Ripley is kind of acting a little bratty.
Yeah.
She's whining, she's complaining, she's signing contracts, she's taking contracts, she's interrupting everybody. Io and Bianca's trying to have her moment. I'm thinking what maybe happened was, oops, our bad. We probably should have went with Rhea and Bianca to begin with because they do have more history. But
Yeah.
I think tying in Io as like that underdog, like the we're not worried about you. Like you're a non-factor. You're the champion, but Rhea obviously feels like Io got lucky because her game was taken. Like
Yeah.
she was distracted by what was going on the outside with Bianca. So she doesn't think she doesn't think Io's an issue. Bianca certainly doesn't think Io's an issue. I would have liked if they paid more attention to that, like that right there, in a sense,
Mhm.
like let Bianca Belair. Oh, she doesn't. She's upset that Rhea's getting added to the match because he knows that Io's an easy target. Like that's
Mhm.
that's that's easy money. Like I'm going to WrestleMania. I'm gonna be champion. I'm not worried about Io. But then I guess it makes it difficult in terms of you don't want her to look like a coward, like she's scared of Rhea. But that's I don't know, man. It's a tough situation. It seemed like they were going in the right direction, and then it just kind of blew up. I think if they'd have just let us know from the beginning that this was going to be a triple threat, then we wouldn't have to, go with weeks and weeks and weeks of this whining and complaining. They could have
Well,
just built all three of them up individually to look as strong as they could. I
well,
get the story they're trying to tell though, with Io being totally disregarded and no one's looking at her, no one's talking about her. They're not even acknowledging her in the back and forth in the ring.
the thing is I think, yes, deep down, like any combination of these three women, like a one-on-one, would be a phenomenal match. Rhea versus
Yeah.
Bianca, Bianca versus Io, Io versus Rhea, all the different combos. It'll be great. I think the issue here is they realize, okay, we got three very popular top women in this women's division on Monday Night Raw. All three deserve to be at WrestleMania, and
Mhm.
all three are the best wrestlers for this division. They deserve to be on WrestleMania. The other problem is, though, they're all baby faces, though. That's the thing, is like, I think if one of them was a heel, then I think this dynamic would be a little bit easier to tell this story, or at least the explanation would make more sense. But yeah, they're
Mhm.
all baby faces. So like that dynamic is different. Like you're cheering for all of them, except for, as you mentioned, when they were in Europe, every country they went on this European tour was booing Bianca the whole time. But
Yep.
really, she was frustrated because she won Elimination Chamber, which is the second opportunity outside Royal Rumble to get a title shot at WrestleMania, one-on-one title shot. And so she's frustrated. So I get it why Bianca's upset. She's, if anyone was in her shoes, kayfabe, it makes sense why you'd be frustrated. Like, this woman over here is trying to steal my spot or stick her nose in our business. She lost the title, back of the line, find another way to get a title shot. But no, she just kept persisting and like sticking her nose in their business. And it was just, like I said, it's the logic doesn't make sense. But I guess Bianca, they're trying to save this, but like Bianca be like, all right, I'm the ultimate babyface. I'm the ultimate badass. Fine, Rhea, go ahead, add her to the match. I'll beat both of them. And so the problem is, though, like I said, the crowds have not been fully with Bianca.
Mhm.
So it's just it just the whole dynamic just feels off a little bit. And so I mean, we should do predictions next week, but maybe Bianca should win, but then go full heel afterwards and be like, and give me like the old school NXT Bianca heel version. Like, I
Yeah.
told you I'm the best. I won. I beat both of them and screw them. They're both trying to, especially Rhea, trying to uh, 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 ruin my WrestleMania opportunity in my match here, and then use the next year to properly build up. Because I think that was the issue. They didn't want to do Bianca Rhea this year because they didn't
Mhm.
properly do enough give enough time to build up to it. Because Rhea was so busy with Liv Morgan for most of last year and the beginning of this year. So I think spend the next year building the two of them up for a one-on-one match next year. I think that's what they should be doing next year.
Right.
Let's see. All right. So next up here, let's talk about Gunther and Jey Uso. Oh my God. Finally, this match has some meat to the bones, something that we can like get excited for. This
Yeah.
is the ultimate Rocky 4 storyline being played out here. So for the youngsters out there, if you've not seen
Woo!
Rocky 4, long story short, Apollo comes out of retirement, takes on Ivan Drago, the big Russian boxer, gets beat up, knocked out, killed in the ring. And Rocky wants his revenge on his best friend and fights Ivan Drago in Russia and beats him at the end. Sorry, spoiler alert. But pretty much the same thing happened here. So Gunther last week took on Jimmy Uso after Jimmy, remember, smacked him on SmackDown.
Yep.
And Gunther was mad and wanted a match with Jimmy Uso. They fought. Gunther won, and Jey came out for the save, and then he was helping his brother out. And after Gunther got ran out, he came back around, snuck up from behind, knocked both of them down, took Jimmy in the ring, and then zip tied up Jey Uso in the corner, and then started just beating the crap out of Jimmy Uso right in front of his brother. Took the title, busted him in the head, was bleeding everywhere, took his blood. Gunther rubbed the blood all over his body, like ultimate savage warrior, like and Jey could not do anything. He's just like in pain, like, no, don't do that to my brother. What do you think of that moment first before we get into the promo between the two of them?
Fantastic. I think I even seen Gunther like lick the blood like it was
Yes.
freaking like he like, I
Took a
thought it
little,
was
little taste
fantastic.
and that.
I thought it was great. I know a lot of people prior to the commercial break right before that was kind of disappointed, like, what? That's all we get. And then we come back and like you said, Jay and is helping Jimmy out, and then Gunther comes from behind and boom. And right then and there, I had a feeling what was gonna happen.
Yeah.
And man, was I happy that happened because
Yes.
I knew it. I knew that's what he needed. I knew that's what
You
Jey
did.
Uso needed.
To give Brian credit, you did call this a few weeks ago. It's like to take this rivalry to the next level, because what they were doing beforehand sucked. As far as Jey won the Royal Rumble, pick Gunther just because he wanted to prove they could beat Gunther. And Gunther's like, you're not at my level. You shouldn't challenge me. And you're like, the one thing they need to do to really step it up is Gunther needs to go after his family, specifically attack and beat the crap out of Jimmy Uso, which they finally did. And now you're so invested into this. And then this past Monday, the promo between the two of them was awesome. Gunther comes out celebrating. He's got the red tie. He's all happy. Jey comes out, tells the crowd's trying to yeet, and he's like, no, don't yeet right now. He's like serious. And I love what Jey brought up here. It's like, my mom, or he told Gunther, do you have a mom? And excuse me, he told Gunther, do you have a mom? Like, and he started explaining from his perspective, my brother's in the hospital, had what, 15 stitches. My mom is upset. She's like, how can you let your brother do this? Like, you weren't there to protect your brother. It just really hit home that like Jey felt so responsible, that my brother's in the hospital. He's beat up because of you. My family's upset. Everything. I love this promo. And that's the one thing Jay's always been good at from his time in the Bloodline, is when he speaks his emotions and is really expressing himself. That seems very authentic. Going back to Cody and Cena, authenticity, it seems so real. You believe him, that when he is upset about something, you feel it. You believe that. And the fact he like referenced his real name, his mom called him by his real name. And it's like, why'd you let this happen? And so now Jay's like, I need revenge. I want revenge now. I'm going to kick your ass, and I'm going to take that title too. So, and the big takeaway is like, you know what? I'm not afraid of you anymore. After watching you destroy my brother, making him bleed, put him in the hospital, I'm not afraid of you anymore. And I'm going to kick your ass. I'm going to take that title. Amazing stuff. Yeah, your thoughts on the promo between the two of them?
It was great. Even to admit that you had me, like, you know, he was having a good time. He was, you know, Jey just he had the attitude of I'm happy to be here. He got sucked into the moment, right? He wasn't
Yeah.
really focused like he should have been, and for him to admit that and say you had me, and I was afraid of you, but I'm not anymore. And what stuck out to me, and I'm gonna be honest, I got teary eyed because it was passion. Like that's what I love about wrestling is when you can feel it, and Jey, he knocked it out of the park. And if anybody ever doubted why why he has an opportunity to become world champ, or
Mhm.
if he's gonna be world champ, it's that. Don't get confused by the yeet. Yeah, that's great, but that right there, that performance, that promo that he put on, I'll say that performance
Mhm.
against Gunther was sensational. Gunther didn't need to say anything. It was all Jey, all eyes on him. No yeet, no black t-shirt,
Mhm.
just super serious. And it was just, I mean, it hit me because it's like, oh my god, like that's what you want. You want a story to start off. That's the definition of just wait and let it play out. Right? Because like it was one-sided. We were getting back to back. It was like, oh, Jey keeps why is he fighting A-Town Down Under? Why is he doing this? Why is he what is Gunther doing? He said 10 weeks of hell. Well, Gunther saved the best for last, and it woke Jey Uso up. And now here we are, 1 week out from the biggest match of Jey's career.
Yeah.
And but see, now you have to think, is this too much? Is he too emotional now?
Can he be
Does
focused?
Gunther have him right where he want him now?
Mm.
Yeah, think about that. Not because now people who automatically think Jay's gonna win, I'm thinking, I don't know. I don't know now.
Well, it's interesting you brought that up because it seems like Jey has a new focus now, and that's important because,
Mhm.
as you mentioned, for last couple months, he's all been just celebrating, like, "Hey, I'm happy to be here, coming out, eating with the crowd," which is great. The fact that Jey is so over with the fan base and has that reaction from them, that is huge, and what you need as a top baby face in this company. But you're right. It's almost like he became kind of one dimensional. It's like, okay, my music hits. I'm gonna come out. I'm gonna eat with the crowd, and that's what he's known for. Is just, or people were accusing him just he's one dimensional. He's just an entrance theme or entrance music. Like
Yeah.
that's all he's known for, good for, and like that kind of became like all he was doing. But I like in this promo, we got to see a little bit more of the old Jey Uso, like I said, from the time in the bloodline where he
Mhm.
was really good at showing his emotion, and when he's distressed or upset, he really knows how to express that and put it out there and really put his emotions first, which as a fan, you watch this and you start believing every word he says and you get emotionally caught up in his actions and what he's going to do next. And I think that's important for this match. So finally, I think before these last 2 weeks, I think a lot of people were assuming this is one of the worst builds for a championship match of all time, especially for WrestleMania. Now things are picking up. Now it feels really important. There's huge stakes on the line. Not only did Jey win the Royal Rumble, he wants revenge for his brother, and he wants to take that title off Gunther. So it's amazing stuff here. I'm finally like really invested in this storyline. It took, unfortunately, Jimmy getting busted up and bleeding, but it's a sacrifice Jimmy did for the greater good for our entertainment here.
Yeah, I
So,
can't wait. I can't wait to see that hype package.
oh my god! I mean, just the recap, and yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
even what's Jay's entrance gonna be like?
Yeah.
That's gonna be awesome too. So at Allegiant Stadium. So all right, next up, so it was announced before Monday Night Raw that the Intercontinental title, Braun Breaker is gonna be defending in a fatal four ways. It's him, Braun Breaker versus Penta versus two members of the Judgment Day, specifically Dominic Mysterio and Finn Balor. And this all came together the last couple weeks. These guys have different combos, been going after it. Last week, we saw Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio beat Penta and Braun Breaker. They outsmarted them when Braun accidentally speared Penta. Carlito was there, helping out as well. And so Judgment Day got the win over them. Backstage, Penta confronted Braun Breaker, called him stupid. They started, getting each other's face. So Braun and Penta working together no more. And then also last week on Raw, Finn Balor and the Judgment Day were hanging out backstage. Finn was so happy that they got the win, and he felt he deserved another title shot for the Intercontinental Championship, and he wanted to go talk to Adam Pearce. Liv Morgan and Dominic stay behind, and they're talking. They're like, why is he taking all the credit? You won too. You should get a title shot. So Liv's like, I'm going to go talk to Adam Pearce for you. And Dominic was like, oh, are you sure about that? So she went to go talk to him, I guess persuaded Adam Pearce, because then this week on Monday Night Raw, we saw Penta fight Dominic Mysterio, and actually Penta picked up the win. Let's see, am I missing anything else? Balor last week called out Dominic, said he doesn't have that killer instinct. He's just a loser. And it just got weird between the two of them and walked away. So then this week on Raw, like I said, Dominic lost to Penta, and then they were beating down Penta. Braun Breaker comes out, hits one of the best spears of all time on Carlito in the aisleway right
no
there.
matter what angle you look at it from.
Yes. And then Finn Balor comes out and attacks everyone, and he holds up the IC title. So it solidifies the fatal four-way between the four of them there. What do you think of the build for this now, as far as on Raw, they said, Liv tried to justify, says having two members of the Judgment Day in this fatal four-way is good because you guys can play the numbers game. Having two members there is better than just one. So, but your thoughts on the build now of this lead up to the fatal four-way?
I thought it was pretty thrown together as far as
Yeah.
as far as the build. It was pretty thrown together, but if I know anything about Triple H and his style, and there's four guys in this match who obviously, like, if you can go with Dom and Finn, even though that they're on the same team, there's obviously some trust issues there. Braun, if he loses, I know he's going up to world heavyweight title.
Yep.
Penta, the new rising star. It'll be an exciting thing for him to get hands on gold for the first time in WWE. That's an option. So here's one thing I will say about the match itself. The build, whatever. The match, exciting because you just don't know who's gonna win. Like, I feel like that for a lot of the matches really on the WrestleMania card, but this particular, it's just like, these are four guys. It really can go to anybody. It can go to Dom, it can go to Finn, and whatever happens to the Judgment Day story, obviously it's gonna happen post WrestleMania, right? And then Braun could easily retain, or he could drop it. You know what I mean? It's interesting. That's one thing I do like about it. It's not your typical fatal four-way match either. I feel like it's involving guys who have been on TV regularly, and I know, again, not to seem long-winded or not to throw any shade on Shane. I see people throwing Sheamus' name out there. It's like, guys, he hasn't been around. You can't just throw him in there just because. Like, I see people like, oh, he should be in it. They should make a fatal four-way, fatal five-way ladder match for the Intercontinental. No, I think it's perfect. It's not perfect, but it's okay the way it is. And hopefully there's some story to come out of it afterwards. That's the only thing that I asked for.
Yeah, I mean, that's my thing too, is I'm right. I'm with you on that. Is like, part of me wish Sheamus was involved somehow, but I guess for whatever reason, I just don't feel like it's the time right now to tell that story of Sheamus completing his story of winning the IC title, the one title he has yet to win in WWE, to be official Grand Slam winner.
That sucks, man. It sucks being, I'm sure it sucks being a booker. It sucks.
Oh yeah, you can't please everyone. Well, that's the thing too. Like, on a side note, I mean, I get why they announce a lot of multi-people matches, because you're trying to get as many people on the show.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people who bust their ass for this company all year long. And you're probably like, I want to try to take care of as many of them to have that opportunity to have a WrestleMania moment, a match, be out there from that huge crowd, the spectacle that it is. And you want to reward them for their hard work. But unfortunately, you can't do it for everyone. There's just not enough room and time. I know they announced or it's been reported like WrestleMania night 1, night 2 is gonna be 9 hours each day. We'll get into this more later. I was gonna do a quick recap of WrestleMania card, but yeah,
Sure.
it's like 3-hour pre-show, 4-hour main show, and 2-hour post press conference. So it's
Mhm.
a lot. But yeah, you're right. You think about how many people who didn't make the cut this year, as far as we could tell, like Sheamus,
Mhm.
Karrion Cross.
Mhm.
There's a handful of names of people. And we'll go down the list at the
Sami
end.
Zayn.
Sami Zayn, oh,
Mhm.
Kevin Owens. Oh my God, I forgot to talk. Yeah, I got that there on my notes. Sorry, Kevin Owens. So anyway, there's a lot to talk about, but I guess for these guys, these guys have been the workhorses on Raw for the last few months. So I mean, Penta is a big free agent signing, so you want to give him a WrestleMania moment right away. The crowd loves him. Braun is the IC champion. And a fatal four-way multi-person match here. At least you protect Braun Breaker. And I think I'm with you, Brian. I think probably Braun's going to lose this and then move up to the world title picture. And
Mhm.
listen, hey, if Jay beats Gunther and Jay is the new champion, Braun and Jay do have history
There you go.
last year for the IC title, so you can bring up that storyline again between them, Braun Breaker versus Jey Uso as a storyline there.
Mhm.
So that works together for the world title. I think, and then Penta, I like seeing when the IC title. I think I know we're not doing predictions right now, but I think it's gonna
Yeah.
be Dom or Finn to win, and
Mhm.
this is gonna lead to the breakup of the Judgment Day. I think this is gonna be the
Yeah.
catalyst of that, and I think
Mhm.
I think Dom might win this, and that pisses off Finn Balor so much he turns on them. So that's
Mhm.
early prediction there. What I think might happen. So
Or
it's
gets kicked out.
yeah, that too. So I think make it a fatal four way. You accomplish a lot here. You protect Braun Breaker to drop the title off him to push him up to main event scene. You get Penta on the card. He's so popular right now. Big free agent signing from a few months ago. And then you have the catalyst to break up the Judgment Day with Dominic and Finn, one of them winning the title and the other one getting pissed off and creating more tension in the group. So this match will be interesting. You're right. And this could be a fun match. Just Braun Breaker's athleticism on display in front of everyone. That's going to be fun. So, yes, can't wait for all that. And then, all right. Is there anything else from this bill we need to talk about?
Um,
I think that's about
nah,
it.
I
We
think
cover all.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's pretty much.
Two more things I just want to touch on real quick for Monday Night Raw before we talk about SmackDown. So El Grande Americano and the Creed brothers defeat LWO, Cruz del Toro, Joaquin Wild, and Dragon Lee.
Gracias.
El Grande Americano picked up the win when he stuck a metal plate under his mask and headbutted Rey Mysterio and used a diving headbutt to pick up the win there. I mean, the storyline here, everyone knows it's Chad Gable, but he's trying to make up
Mhm.
excuses why the two of them are not in the room at the same time. He's been saying
Mhm.
he's been sick, and then uh, when one's in the room, the other one's not there. It's been a fun storyline. I know a couple weeks ago, people were upset with the El Grande Americano video package, kind of describing his history. I thought it was pretty hilarious because it was obviously very AI created, AI generated,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
it was so ridiculous over the top.
Mhm.
I think that's the
It
point.
and see, and honestly, to even echo that, like you said, AI, not real, guys. Like,
Yeah.
like not real.
And that's the thing. It's like they make up this whole like fun, goofy backstory, his history of like wrestling for decades in Mexico.
Yeah.
I think that's the point. It's so
Mhm.
over the top, it's cringy. And I think I forgot where I saw it, but one person said by him using AI, um, it kind of shows like this is something Chad Gable could have made himself using like Chat GBT or something.
Right.
So I think that's what makes it more hilarious. It's like Chad Gable is trying to create this whole persona of El Grande Americano that he used AI to create this old video package for him. And listen, I know a lot of people are upset with what he represents and everything. To me, that's kind of the point of a heel in pro wrestling. You build them up as someone you truly hate, and then the point being is the baby faces will pick up the win and beat him at some point, which I think is going to be the LWO here, specifically Rey Mysterio. So
Yeah.
it was announced after the match that Rey Mysterio will fight El Grande Americano at WrestleMania. And Brian, you and I are texting about this, and you brought up a good idea. What could happen at the end of this match?
Mhm. Listen, I feel
Oof.
like I'm gonna say this. First off, good for Gable. Good for Chad Gable. I'm really glad that he's making it on this WrestleMania card.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yep, yep.
but I think it's gonna be a good match, man. I feel like it's got enough story. I feel like he's been feuding with the LWO for months, whether it's through you know had it start and stops with a few weeks in between. I feel like it's a good enough program. I feel like Chad Gable is definitely gonna get his mask taken off. Or El Grande Americano is definitely going to be unmasked at
Yeah.
WrestleMania, and we're going to see that it's truly Chad Gable under the mask. And whether it's the payoff that everybody wants or even thinks or is looking for, I don't know, but I feel like either way it's gonna be a good match. I feel like Chad Gable, Rey Mysterio could still go. I feel like there's no problem there. So
Mhm, mhm.
good match there. I think it's gonna be a good match.
That's the thing for anyone who's upset with the El Grande Americano character and what he represents and the video made for him. I think that's the whole point. They want people to hate this guy so much. So
Mm-hmm.
when Ray does beat him, it's gonna be a huge
Mm-hmm.
celebration.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot wait for Ray to beat this guy and reveal it's Chad Gable. I mean, I hope the reveal will be at WrestleMania. That'd be a great WrestleMania moment there. But this thing could be stretched out for maybe a couple pay-per-views or PLEs if they wanted to. So
True.
we'll see what happens. But I'm all digging this. And then the New Day were taking on the War Raiders for the World Tag Team titles. Ended in DQ when the New Day brought a chair in, and then the War Raiders grabbed the chair and hit them in the ended in a DQ. So New Day won, but no titles. Tony Hinchcliffe was on commentary, who's hosting the roast to WrestleMania. I'm not a comedy expert, Brian, but I don't know. I don't know how I haven't had a chance to ask you. Not the best showing from Tony Hinchcliffe here, and I think a lot of people were not a fan of his performance on commentary.
Yeah, it wasn't very funny to me.
No,
Very much cringy and almost like, ouch. Like, I hope you cleared that with Big E,
I
that
know.
comment
Yeah,
up there. It's just like, whoa,
it's
okay.
it's like, okay, I get it. He's known for the roast and stuff of different
Mhm,
celebrities. And sometimes at these roasts, you kind of go for the obvious low hanging fruit. But in this situation on commentary, he was trying to deliver some of those low hanging fruit lines. And I think a lot of people were just kind of cringe and like, that didn't hit too well. Or that's like,
mhm.
really, that's the best line you can come up with. Yeah, it was not the best use of lines. And, I know a lot of people not the biggest Tony Hinchcliffe of what he, did last year, where he spoke at last year. I'll just leave it at
Mhm.
that. Um, so yeah, I mean, he's not a commentator I know he's a comedian, but he's not a commentator. So
Not at
I
all.
get they were just trying to promote the Netflix to Kill Tony special that's on Netflix now. So
Yeah.
yeah, not the best stuff. But anyway, with that being said, Adam Pearce announced on social media today that the New Day will get a rematch against the War Raiders for the World Tag Team titles at WrestleMania. So that's cool. We're going to get a tag team title match at WrestleMania because based on the build so far, we were all kind of wondering, is any tag titles going to be defended there? So your thoughts on the rematch happening at WrestleMania?
I wish they would have not had the match on Monday and
Yeah.
maybe just kind of had like a segment or a moment where to still justify them having a match at WrestleMania, because prior to this, they hadn't had any. I mean, they have history, right? They do have
Yes.
history,
Yes.
but I just felt like the New Day went from the LWO straight to this now. It's like
Yeah.
they went in. It's like they went into Adam Pearce's room and was like, "Hey, like we deserve a match for the titles, and it needs to be at WrestleMania, And he's like, "Well, go out there and prove it." And they win by disqualification. But they don't get the titles, and so now the rematch is going to happen at WrestleMania. See, again, another very lazy, just like put together match, and I guess I give him a little credit for trying to like make a story out of it with the remainder of weeks that we have, but you
Mhm.
honestly could have just had them have a segment, a brawl last week. maybe this Monday coming up, and then announce it. Hey, you know what? That's it. You guys want to run WrestleMania? You know?
To me, this all seems very last minute. Like, oh my god, last minute planning. Like, oh my god, we need to get a tag team title match on the card at
Mhm.
WrestleMania. Okay, what can we do? And it's like they quickly heated up the New Day by giving that win a couple weeks ago against Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate, a returning Tyler
Yeah.
Bate, by the way.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was a couple weeks ago in London. So a big show for Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate, in the from their home country. And so yeah,
Mhm.
New Day picked up the win there. So they're finally moving on away from the LWO. As like you said, they've been like going at it for months, just
Yeah.
dragging that story. And sometimes in this new regime, they drag some of these feuds for way too long. It's like move
Yeah.
on. But anyway,
Mhm.
New Day, they heat them up as heels, get the win over Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. They get the tag team title match this past Monday in a DQ, and then it justifies they want a rematch. Um, to me, though, it just seems very like I said, last minute. Like, oh my god, let's put this all together, and it's like they're finally doing something the New Day. They had this big heel turn moment, turning on Big E. Everyone was so invested. That was like what back in was that in December? Yeah, it was back in December because I
It was
talked to
December,
Kofi the
yeah.
following week, or I talked to
Mhm.
Kofi like a day or two later after it. So for months, they didn't do anything with the New Day as follow up for this heel turn. They were just dragging their feet, having this ongoing feud with LWO forever, and now
Yeah.
they're finally doing something there with them with the New Day. So I don't know. Like part of me is like I kind of wonder if this match deserves to be at WrestleMania
Yeah.
because if we're talking about tag team titles that deserve to be on deserve to be at WrestleMania, I think it's the WWE tag titles on SmackDown. That's the one that should be at WrestleMania
There's
because
been there's been way more action on that side
yes,
too, like
because it's been like what 5 teams, different
Yeah.
combinations of storylines, you guys all crossing paths for months. They've been
Mhm.
having more compelling storylines with that tag team division on SmackDown. I would think they're the ones that deserve a match at WrestleMania. The only justification I can see is for the go home episode of SmackDown in Las Vegas, a WrestleMania weekend. I thought I saw a rumor, I think it was WrestleVotes, that said that might be like the main event for SmackDown. So that's the only thing. It's like they're probably like, okay, this has a lot of story because I think it's what Street Profits versus Motor City Machine Guns.
Yeah.
So it looks like, well, hey, we're in Las Vegas. We need big matches to fill up the arena that night, SmackDown. So it looks like
Right.
those guys, those that tag championship match is going to be on that SmackDown. So it's kind of a bummer. Like Street, I feel bad for the Street Profits. You come back, you got like a little more attitude in your gimmick now. You guys been battling with DIY and Pretty Deadly and all these other tag teams. You guys going back and forth, and like deserves like a WrestleMania spot. And no, you're going to be on the SmackDown before WrestleMania.
You know,
So
we probably should have seen it coming with the fact that they won the titles before WrestleMania,
in Europe
right?
a
Like
couple weeks ago,
you
yeah,
you you would think that something like that they probably would have waited until WrestleMania so they can have
yeah,
that moment where they
hmm
won the title. So it's probably they probably were like, "Hey, we gave you guys your big moment. Now you're gonna have a defense on the night before Mania. We're gonna this time we're gonna give it to the New Day, right?" Which I guess would have been kind of it's a difficult situation. It's a difficult position
yeah,
because the New Day, I mean, who's to say that they don't deserve a spot at WrestleMania, right? But I think the War Raiders definitely deserve a spot at WrestleMania.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, they haven't had much story, since being champions. They haven't done much, but if we're just gonna throw people on there,
That's I
I
mean, well, that's the thing. It's like I feel bad for the Street Profits, and honestly, all the tag teams on SmackDown, they're busting their ass for months, telling a better
yeah,
compelling storyline for that division on SmackDown, and the big reward is you don't get a WrestleMania match, or any of you guys get a WrestleMania match. Instead, we're just gonna put two teams on the go home episode of SmackDown in Las Vegas at the arena versus on Raw, which they haven't done much with the tag team division at all, and now they're throwing together. a storyline here and they get rewarded for a WrestleMania match. It just to me seems unfair. And it's just like,
I guess you're right. Yeah.
yeah, no, and I just feel bad for the teams on
Yeah.
SmackDown. I mean, great for the teams on Raw. Don't get me wrong. I mean, New Day, obviously, big legacy act. Like people love them. They're future Hall of Famers. They're one of the all time great tag teams. So I figured they probably think their star power would be cool for the arena. And War Raiders, they do bust their ass. I mean, we both of them thought they were gonna not be able to come back from their neck injuries. So
Yeah.
they had a great showing in LA 2 years ago with that multi tag match. So I'm excited to see what these two can do in the ring WrestleMania weekend. So
Right.
yeah, we'll see. Uh, all right, let's move on over to Friday Night SmackDown. And obviously, the big takeaway is the whole CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins storyline. I know there was stuff that happened on Raw this week, but I was going to save it with the SmackDown discussion. Also, of course, Charlotte Flair, Tiffany Stratton, their whole promo, and Kevin Owens, unfortunate news being told on
Very sad.
TV, and some other stuff happened. So let's talk about CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins. A couple weeks ago now on SmackDown, did the big contract signing. CM Punk comes out and he's looking at the paperwork. Paul Heyman tells him it's in there. What you want is in there. And I think people are it's alluding to the favor that CM Punk's been holding over Paul Heyman's head. And Paul Heyman reveals your guys' match is going to main event night one of WrestleMania. So CM Punk, finally, you can now say you're a WrestleMania main eventer. So CM Punk was all happy. He's like tearing up. Paul Heyman's tearing up.
Cheering up, man.
Signs a contract. Great moment.
Yeah.
And Roman Reigns thought, all right, that's your favor. Fine. It's over with now. You don't have to hold that over the wise man's head anymore. Let's focus on the match here. CM Punk grabbed the microphone and said, I'm so happy for this moment, but that's not the favor I wanted. Drops the mic, end of the show. Then last Friday on SmackDown, Paul Heyman wants CM Punk to tell him what the favor is. And CM Punk's like, I'm going to wait until Roman Reigns comes. I want to tell Roman Reigns to his face. Seth Rollins is just like the third man laughing at Paul Heyman. All this stuff. Jump ahead to the main event segment here. CM Punk comes in and tells Paul Heyman, Roman Reigns, and also Seth Rollins that his favor that he wants from Paul Heyman, he wants Paul Heyman in his corner for their match at WrestleMania, the triple threat match, not in Roman Reigns' corner. And Seth Rollins is laughing. He's like, I told you so. Like, Roman, you don't listen to me. Like, CM Punk, he should not be here. He's a cancer. Look, you align yourself with him. I'm trying to prevent him from, I don't want him in this company. I don't want him in this match. I don't want him to main event WrestleMania. Like Seth Rollins is trying to do everything he can to prevent CM Punk from being happy and accomplishing all his goals. But Roman Reigns, he plays Roman Reigns for letting it happen. I did like how CM Punk, he alluded to, like, you told me a long time ago, like you would walk out to the ring with me at a WrestleMania. And some people found that clip. It was from like Monday Night Raw 2013. So almost, 12 years ago. Paul Heyman told CM Punk, one day, we don't know when, I'm paraphrasing here, but when you do have your main event match at WrestleMania, I'm going to walk you to that ring. And so CM Punk alluded, like, I've never forgot that, and I still want that to happen. So I want you in my corner. So, Brian, what are your thoughts on the favor, what CM Punk wants of wanting the wise man Paul Heyman in his corner?
So before I seen that clip, obviously before the segment, I kind of figured that it was going to be something like that, especially when Punk had said at the beginning of the show that it was going to be something that affected Roman Reigns. I kind of feel like, yeah, to some it may be underwhelming, but that's like the one thing. Like, has Roman in the last few years, has he ever been in a WrestleMania without Paul Heyman? Like,
I'm trying to think, the last one would have been,
was it 20?
uh
It would have been
so okay, let's think of it this way. WrestleMania 2020 pandemic, he wasn't there. So
mhm,
WrestleMania 2021 in Tampa, he was there because he was the
was
tribal
there.
chief then. So since 2021, he's been there every year. 2019, was that against Brock? I mean, just think about any WrestleMania before 2020. Roman wrestled by himself. I mean, what, against Undertaker that one year, and so it's been a long time since Roman has had a WrestleMania
Yeah, I think
match.
every
Yeah.
single match at WrestleMania during this run
Yeah.
has been with Paul
Mhm.
Heyman. So,
Mhm.
just I feel like from like a character standpoint, it's like that's gotta affect him, right? Like
Yes.
it's like Undertaker wrestling with no Paul Bearer back in the day, with
Mhm.
no
Mhm.
urn, so to speak. Like
Yeah.
it's like I feel like that's definitely a game changer, and it puts like it takes him off his game. Like you know, Heyman's not going to come out with Punk frowning and sad. Like he's his guy. He's going to be happy to be there with him,
Yeah.
and Roman. He's not going to like that. He's going to feel some type of way about that. So that's a good chess move by CM Punk. Like, hey, I'm going into this. Both of these guys don't like me. I know what I'm going to get with Seth Rollins. I've been in a ring with him. I can handle him, but Punk's hasn't been in the ring with the tribal chief, right? And what he has to do is he's got to take away every little thing that makes him bigger and better. And Paul Heyman's one of them. So I think just storyline wise, I thought that was cool. I know I was expecting like a title match or something
Mhm.
else, but
Well,
that's okay.
Well, I would just say this. I think if anything, it's about the mind games. I think for CM Punk, he's like, okay, how can I get into Roman Reigns' head? Okay, well, one, Paul Heyman's my best friend. He did
Yep.
promise me 12 years ago, if and when I do main event WrestleMania, he was going to walk me down that ramp. He was going to walk me to that ring. And so having Paul Heyman in his corner, it definitely gives him an advantage in his mind. Roman Reigns, the mind game's theirs. Now, Roman Reigns, you're right. He has not had Paul Heyman in his corner. It's been a long time since he's wrestled without him in his corner.
Yeah.
So the mind games of Roman Reigns is like, can I do this on my own? Can I do this without Paul Heyman in my corner? Can I win this big match? So it kind of maybe put some doubt in Roman Reigns' mind, and I'm sure CM Punk knows that. It's like, how can I get in Roman Reigns' head? I'm going to take a big piece out of or a big chess piece out of his game here, and from a strategy standpoint, it's gonna be tough for him to try to win a match without Paul Heyman there. So that's the ultimate mind game there. And then for Seth Rollins, like I said, Seth is just frustrated because it's like he has issues with Roman Reigns. He doesn't like CM Punk. Everything he's trying to accomplish is not working. He didn't want CM Punk in the company anymore. He wanted to beat him so he doesn't main event a WrestleMania. He got his wish. So everything he's trying to prevent, CM Punk is still accomplishing. So Seth Rollins is pissed off and he blames Roman Reigns for allowing this all to happen. And then I like how CM Punk on SmackDown put him to sleep, put Roman Reigns to sleep with the GTS. And
Yep.
then on Monday Night Raw this week, Paul Heyman comes out and let's see, Seth Rollins got in his face and trying to manipulate him, saying, "Listen, I know you're upset, you're confused, you don't know what to do. You want to make Roman Reigns happy because Roman Reigns at first told Paul Heyman like, man, blow off CM Punk, tell him no, you're not gonna follow up on
Let
that
him down
favor.
easy.
Yeah, let him down easy." And Paul Heyman's like, no, it's not that easy. He's my best friend. I think Paul Heyman, so many words, is like, I am friends. That's with CM Punk. That bond is truly special. And even though he says I love you, Roman Reigns, but really it's more of a business relationship, if anything. So he's definitely
Mhm.
closer to CM Punk, and he doesn't want to ruin that promise to him. That means a lot to him. But Seth, like, listen, I can help you in this situation. I could curb stomp you, pretty much like take him out, and that way he's gonna be in the hospital, kayfabe in the hospital, and therefore can't show up to WrestleMania, and therefore it kind of ends his problems. Like, oh, you were injured, you couldn't show up to WrestleMania. Both guys don't have you now. But
Yep.
but you can tell Paul Heyman didn't want to take a curb stomp or get beat down. And he also, Seth Rollins did bring up some good points. Like, listen, Roman Reigns, man, he don't like you. Like, when after he lost at WrestleMania, he was gone for months, and you were like a hostage in the new bloodline with Solo and his crew.
Yep.
He wasn't there to help you. He didn't save you right away. You went through a table and everything. Where was he to save you? And then same thing with CM Punk. It's like you took a beat down from the bloodline, the new bloodline from Solo and them. Where was he to help you? And he said a long time ago, he's in business to make money, not friends. So CM
Mhm.
Punk, he's trying to say CM Punk's true colors is about making money and not friendship here. So like he's trying to point out the flaws in both these guys. These two guys you align yourself with, they're not good people. Like don't go with
Yeah.
them. I can end your worries and now in your pain and just take you out. You can't show up to WrestleMania, but CM Punk comes out, makes the save, they brawl, and then Seth Rollins hits a curb stomp on CM Punk, and then Seth Rollins told Paul Heyman, "Now you owe me a favor," which
Mhm.
I guess explain that as far as you owe me a favor, as far as because he didn't curb stomp him, like you owe him now. I was kind of confused,
Spared
like
him.
what?
He
What's that?
spared him. He spared him.
Oh,
He said,
okay,
I could have stomped your head in, but I didn't. I let you live. Now you owe me."
gotcha. Okay,
Mhm.
that makes sense. Okay, so I'm curious. There's probably going to be a big moment in the match where Paul Heyman has to choose a side officially.
Yep.
What do you think? The rumors people are saying maybe he aligns himself with Seth Rollins at the end.
I think that is probably the biggest possibility. I actually think that's gonna happen. I think he's gonna line us up because I feel like this match, like they gotta do something to justify it being the main event of night one
Mm-hmm.
over, either the women or even Jay and Gunther at this point, right? I
Mm-hmm.
feel like something's got to happen, and they're not going to go with the obvious. Like, obviously, Paul Heyman's going to walk into WrestleMania with CM Punk, but I feel like in the end, like, hey, like, and Seth Rollins made a lot of points. He made a lot of good points. Oh,
Oh.
knocked over my bottle. Seth Rollins made a lot of good points about those guys and about how, they don't really care about him, and one cares about money and the other one cares
It's just
about
using
money
him.
too. It's just using you, right? Using you to make more money. And so um I feel like it's the obvious most interesting thing that you could do. Might be too obvious since a lot of people are saying, "Oh, Seth Rollins is going to be a Paul Heyman guy," but I just feel like it's about time for what is it? It's been like it's been 10 years since Seth Rollins shook the world with an exciting moment at WrestleMania. So I
Yeah.
feel like him aligning himself with Paul Heyman in the end as kind of he's an Io Skies situation right now, right?
Yeah.
You can say
Odd
over the last two meetings that the three of them had,
third
uh,
wheel. Yeah.
he's the third wheel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't seem like that so much this past Monday, but I definitely think that he's going to be the one to kind of sit back a little bit and say, well, let me see how this plays out,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
like it's kind of I use this analogy a lot, but I feel like this Seth Rollins, this is his moment where he's um what's his name? He's Mongo, and he's got Deborah and Woman coming down to the ring with a briefcase full of money, full of money, and he's got to make a decision.
Oh my god. Look at you with the mid-90s WCW reference.
I feel like Seth
Oh,
Rollins has to make a decision, right? He's got to. He's. I feel like. I feel like him and Paul Heyman are probably on the phone right now, getting the details together. He's going to say, "When I do this, you know what that means."
yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Like if hypothetically Seth Rollins turns on Paul Heyman, what does he get by aligning himself with Paul Heyman? I mean, I guess you
Mm,
could say like Paul Heyman realized, yeah, both these guys, specifically CM Punk, Roman Reigns, they don't really like me. They just been using me all this time. Seth Rollins, you were speaking the truth, but yeah. So we can talk more about that with our predictions, like where
right.
where could this go if he does align himself with Paul Heyman,
Yeah.
Seth Rollins specifically? So, all right, next up, let's talk about this promo. WWE Women's Champion Tiffany Stratton came face to face with her WrestleMania #1 contender Charlotte Flair in an intense interview, and I say that because Wade Barrett was in the ring, kind of as a middle person mediator in the ring. But man, Brian, this turned into a big mess right away. Um,
Huge mess.
the crowd was just all over Charlotte Flair, just booing there out of the arena. She couldn't get much in. Jeez, I mean, it came apart. I mean, there was reports afterwards from like WrestleVotes and some other people that Charlotte Flair went off script and then Tiffany Stratton went off script in response to that because apparently, did you see? Was it Fightful that reported like Tiffany anticipated that Charlotte would go off script, so she was
Yeah.
prepared with like her own off script backup lines to
Mhm.
go with. I don't know. What do you think of this whole thing?
I feel like they were both probably under a lot of pressure due to the reaction to their promo segment they had where they were just on screen and everybody saying that Charlotte cooked Tiffany. So I already know Tiffany probably wanted to go into this like, hey, I don't want people talking like that about me. I'm the champion. I'm gonna make sure that I'm ready. If Charlotte, if she wants to poke and she wants to push, then I'm gonna push back. And I think Charlotte realistically let the fans get under her skin. Now listen, the
Yeah,
Nepo Queen, okay? The Nepo Queen, this is a very rare situation. She never lets the fans get under her skin. She's the Nepo Queen. She is the queen. She's one of the greatest champions in all of WWE. So I feel like, you know, we all have bad days sometimes. We all
okay.
have bad. I feel like it was just a bad day at the office. And I will say that Tiffany, she sort of said some personal things. I mean, talking about her dad and the drinking in the basement, and
It's
that's personal, man.
well,
Like, oh my gosh.
okay, I'm with you because like going back to the issues we had with like Io, Rhea, and Bianca, it's three baby faces trying to sell this match here. So the
Mhm.
baby face versus heel dynamic is not really present.
Uh-huh.
This situation, you are dealing with two heels. I mean,
Right.
like, okay, let me ask you, like, who is the baby face here? I think a lot of people are
Right.
confused because I know Charlotte Flair did a talk show last week, and she opened up about her divorce from Andrade. It's her third divorce, and how tough it is
Mhm.
mentally. She tried to keep that hidden, and then also she was out for a year with the injury, and she was like, that was a big setback, and that was tough to overcome mentally. And like, she's worried would she be the same performer? Mentally, she dealt with a lot over the last year that she was away from the company, and
Yeah.
so interview alone, she came off like a baby face there. So maybe that was her goal, was like when she came back at the Royal Rumble, she was going to come back as this baby face. But no, her whole presentation has been more or less a heel in her delivery. And I think part of it, the powers that be kind of set her up for failure because she comes back at the Royal Rumble, big return. She wins and she gets pushed right away to the WrestleMania title scene again. I think a lot
Yeah.
of fans are upset. That's like, you pick Charlotte to win and to come after the title. Like, you're forcing her down our throats again, and we don't want her. That's not the person we want to see win. So I think it's just they put Charlotte in a tough situation that the crowd is not wants her. They don't want, the crowd does not uh they don't want to be forced someone down. It's like the old Roman effect from years ago. It's like
Yeah.
it's obvious Charlotte is your hand-picked person, but that's not who the person the fans want to see. So you're forcing her down her throat. You're skyrocketing her to the top again when it's not deserved or feels deserved, and so organically it doesn't feel right, and so the fans are frustrated, and so she's receiving the backlash from that,
Yeah.
and so that's necessarily not her fault. It's just she's just going to work, and that's what's being given to her. So, anyway, it's just like I said, it's very frustrating here, and then like I said, Tiffany, okay, she's supposed to be the baby face then. But a lot of the lines she was saying, as you said, taking these digs
Yep.
at Charlotte,
Yep.
it's very heelish stuff. So they're both acting like heels, taking digs at each other. So let's go ahead and just kind of recap some of the highlights. With the fans booing, Charlotte said, "That's power," getting the crowd to react like that to her. Uh, Flair claimed that Strat was desperate and that her choice was to show the smartest fans in the world that there was no comparison. Tiffany Stratton said Flair's biggest battle was in the ring, but with the crowd, and it was a battle that Flair would never win. She said that no matter how many times Flair won title wins, excuse me, she said no matter how many title Flair win, how many titles? It's weird. Okay. She said that no matter how many titles Flair wins, she always comes second to her dad, Ric Flair. And at WrestleMania, she comes second to Tiffany Stratton. The crowd booed Charlotte again, which prompted Tiffany Stratton to respond, throwing it back. That's power to her face. Charlotte Flair tried to talk, but couldn't get in a sentence as the crowd just kept booing her so loudly. Tiffany mocked Charlotte for not being able to say anything, and with the fans continuing to boo her, Charlotte conceded and said that Stratton could have the last word. So I do feel bad for Charlotte. It must be frustrating that this crowd in particular is picking Tiffany over her. So she can't even get her lines out. The crowd's just booing her, and Tiffany is just rubbing it in her face, saying, "That's power. The crowd loves me. They don't like you." And then Tiffany took a shot at Charlotte, saying at age 25, you were failing in volleyball and drinking in your daddy's basement, while at this age, she's heading to WrestleMania as the world champion. And then Tiffany then said, outside the ring, Flair was the queen of shit. And she backed off her promo by saying that at WrestleMania, Flair would end up alone, just like outside the ring, as she brought up Flair's previous failed relationships 0 for 3. And Tiffany then threw the mic and quickly rolled out of the ring to get out of there before Charlotte came after her. It's, I don't know, maybe one day we'll get a shoot interview and someone will explain what happened, what went wrong. It sounded like both of them went off script. Both of them went in business for themselves. I don't know what it seemed like a big mess, and it really did not help promote this match as far as a proper build and get me excited. I mean, for all we know, they might still have a great match together in the ring, but it's obviously fallen apart.
That's what
And
I think.
it's almost like I wonder if they were like, you know what, let's embrace this weird publicity, and this will get more hype for our match than like a traditional build for a
And
match here.
it didn't. It also was funny that they were basically almost wearing the same thing.
Yes.
You know, it was kind of bizarre. I do think that here's what I think happened. I think that Charlotte and Tiffany, I feel like they worked themselves into a shoot, brother.
Oh, yeah, well, like, okay, so for Charlotte, it's oh yeah, she was also remember mocking Tiffany because Tiffany, when she was trying to say the shit line, yeah, she stuttered there. So Tiffany's not the best at the promo game yet. She's
No,
doesn't speak with
especially as
confidence.
a baby face.
Her voice is a little streaky, and that's what Charlotte was mocking her voice. So Charlotte's taking digs at her like that off script, and then Charlotte likes to step on other people. I would just think at this point in Charlotte's career, she's been there for over 10 years. She's a veteran. I think she would know how to handle the crowd better, but she
Yeah.
still got flustered here, and which is just kind of shocking considering she is the veteran in this situation. And Tiffany, you're right. Like the dig she was taking at Charlotte, these are heel comments, and she's supposed to be the baby face here. But yeah,
Yeah.
commenting that you're always going to be second rate to your dad, second place to him. Used to drink in his basement. You're not going to accomplish the things I've been accomplishing, and you're going to lose, and you're going to go home alone, and you're going to be a failure in the ring, outside of the ring, 0 for 3, calling out her divorce, her 3 divorces. So she's taking these real personal digs at Charlotte, which apparently these are the off script comments that she had ready to go if Charlotte went off script. So in some ways, you could say they're both in the wrong here. If they both went off
Yeah.
script, then they're both not being professional here. Because as you know, Brian, these promos, and it was Kevin Owens, his new interview with Chris Van Vliet. I don't know if you watched it. He brought a good point. When you're doing a promo with someone, that you're trying to build up a match between the two of you, you don't want to tear your opponent down all the way and make them like I'm paraphrasing here, make them a loser. Because if you beat
Right.
that person, you just beat a loser. But if you build that person up as a real winner and you beat them, you beat a winner. So you beat someone that the people thought maybe had a chance to win here.
Yep.
So I think, this promo, a good promo between two people, you're building up your opponent and then you tear them down in the ring. You beat them in the ring.
Yep.
So you get people invested in both characters here, but they're both taking these like uh uh cheap shots at one another, and it's like going off script. It comes off unprofessional. It's a big mess. And so yeah, it just like I don't really care
It's
about this match.
it's definitely a common thing with Charlotte, I will say, but I feel like she wants to bring the best out of her opponents. I feel like she gets it, right? Like whenever Charlotte is Charlotte and she knows how to talk her talk and walk her walk, and she definitely knows how to walk the walk. She definitely knows how to perform in that squared circle,
Yeah.
right? But when it comes to the promos, as we saw in the promo segment where they were on screen, I mean, that's Charlotte Flair. What we got in the ring last week, that was Ashley. Okay.
Yeah. That's
That
my
was
thing.
Ashley.
Yeah, that's my thing. Is like, when Charlotte's stepping all over her opponent, I think that's unprofessional. Like
Mhm.
let the person talk and you respond. If you just step all over them, you're not helping sell the match. That's my issue with Charlotte Flair and sometimes
That's
how she
true.
handles the promos. It's
Mhm.
like go back and forth. It's like a tennis match. I take a hit, you take a hit, back and forth, back and
Mhm.
forth. But when Charlotte is just stepping all over someone, like she did with Tiffany a couple weeks ago in that side by side video promo that they
Mhm.
did, Charlotte just made Tiffany look bad and then let Tiffany talk. And then Tiffany's trying to get her lines out, and Charlotte's going off script and just stepping all over her. It's just a bad way to build up this match. And then this promo here, the way the both of them are just going off script, taking jabs at each other, the crowd booing, it just came off a big mess. And hopefully
Yeah.
they can recover. But then again, they're creating this drama that we're all talking about now, and that's probably what they're thinking. Like, okay, this is how we'll get interest in this match by like a shoot and a drama here. So
Yeah,
it's
like they have the opportunity to do something really really neat, and that's have a really really good match. And I think I said it on the show a few weeks ago, maybe, that I still feel like Charlotte has to lose. Not to, I
yeah,
know we'll get into predictions next time, but like
yeah,
I I feel like it'll be more calmer if I feel like this will be all water under the bridge if they go out there and perform, have a great match, kill it, hopefully even better than the one she had with Rhea at 39,
hmm
and go out there and prove the haters wrong, Charlotte. You'll let people play for a little bit. You can put people over. You're a good sport. We're good sports.
that's
But they got to earn it. If you're going to put someone over, they have to earn it. You got to make sure they're ready. And that's one thing I do appreciate with Charlotte when she does go off script and when she does do what she does, is that she's testing. She's trying to make sure. And even in some of the reports of the murmurs backstage of people saying that this is something that she does. And, some people feel like, oh, they can't say stuff. They can't say something to Charlotte. I
yeah.
mean, she's,
Well, I was just gonna say, listen, you're right. Like this weird drama that they're now creating that all the websites are reporting on, and
yeah,
the backstage news and the drama that's creating. You're right. It's creating probably the type of publicity that they wanted, but they're probably gonna embrace and be like, all right, if this was get people to tune in and watch their match, fine, let it be. But you're right. Like it's I hope that they still deliver a great match that night, despite all
her
this
robe
drama.
Her robe should say Nepo Queen.
So we'll see what happens next. I mean, on SmackDown tonight, what's the follow up to this whole mess is going to be. And, I hope that they both still have a great match at WrestleMania. But yeah, it's just weird though that Charlotte at this point in her career needs to step all over people to deliver a point. As far as no one has jumped in and be like, hey, stop it. You got to do a better job of building up these matches with people. But we'll see. We'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
Also, the big takeaway from SmackDown last week, Kevin Owens came out, cut a promo, and says he can't wrestle WrestleMania this year. He's gonna have neck surgery, and he doesn't know if he's what the timetable, if he's gonna be able to come back, if he's gonna have to retire. We don't know all the details. Randy Orton came out and Nick Aldis told him that, hey, unfortunately, you don't have a match now at WrestleMania. And he hit the RKO on Nick Aldis here. Kevin Owens did an interview and said he was fine, I guess, going into December. Um, do you remember the report? I'm sorry, I should have had that up here. He
Yeah.
actually got the injury recently. It was just in a
I think he
regular
said
match.
it was a regular match in January.
Okay. So
Mhm.
so he still wrestled that Royal Rumble match against Cody Rhodes in February.
Mhm.
That probably didn't add any do any favors for him,
Yeah.
the ladder spot and everything. So yeah, it was going into end of last year, he was healthy, everything was great with the doctors, but then it was like a regular match on SmackDown that he aggravated his neck. So um it's unfortunate news that Kevin Owens is going to be out for WrestleMania now. He's going to have neck surgery, and who knows what his timetable if he can come back. Your thoughts on the announcement?
It's really sad, especially when you like, because I watched the podcast and knowing how, see, like, you know how we always see WrestleMania builds and everyone talks online about, um oh, that's who he's wrestling, or that's what he gets, to know that Kevin Owens was really excited to get, like, he is bummed because he doesn't get to wrestle Randy Orton at WrestleMania.
Mhm.
Like, that means a lot to him, and to know that is what is so, like, sad about this whole situation, because it's just like he's been on I feel like he's been on a WrestleMania roll going
Yeah.
back to when his first few WrestleManias, specifically the one with, was the one with Jericho, where Vince was like, he
Mm,
hated it,
mhm,
right? He
mhm,
didn't
mhm.
like it. And I feel like that at that moment, that kind of put Kevin Owens in this place where he just he doubted himself, and
Yeah.
you can kind of tell, like, there was just like no direction really. He was all over the place.
Mhm,
So I feel like these last few years, he's just been killing it. Stone
mhm.
Cold in the main event, right? Main eventing night one with your best friend, winning the
Yep.
tag titles, right?
It's been a great
No,
redemption story for
it
him.
has, it has. It's been really, really good. And so, and then this was just going to be another one in the books, right? Wrestling Randy
Yeah.
Orton,
Yeah.
and now, he's not going to get that opportunity, which really, really sucks.
Yeah, no, it's a bummer because, yeah, he's getting older,
Yeah.
and to have an opportunity for WrestleMania matches becoming fewer and fewer for him. And so I'm sure he's really bummed that he's not going to have another WrestleMania match, at least for this year. Who knows ever again? So yeah, I'm sure it's very frustrating.
Had a really great program with Cody,
Yeah.
Saturday night's main event, the package pile driver. Like, yeah, I feel like everything was going great.
Now, how interesting was it? Like the actual storyline was like, he took out Randy Orton, he took out Cody Rhodes, with the
Mhm.
package pile driver hurting their necks, kayfabe, and then like a real
Yes.
neck injury happens to him to take him out. So it was kind of ironic, which I, it, I'm just saying it is pro wrestling. Is there any
Yeah.
chance this is all work? Like it's
All right.
I mean, it is pro
That's
wrestling. It makes you wonder, could this be a work in some case here? But I
right.
would hate for them to lie like that and like
Yeah.
trick us into thinking he really had a serious injury, but it was all work. So for the sake of this conversation, we're gonna assume this is real. This is a real neck injury,
You have to
and
bring Jim Ross back to sell that one. What the hell is going on?
so I do feel bad for Kevin Owens. I do, hope it's a successful surgery and he takes as much
Right.
time as it needs to heal. And
Mhm.
we do see him come back in the ring one day and he's back kicking ass like he always does. We love Kevin Owens around here. So
Oh,
just wish
yeah.
him a speedy recovery and all the best for him. And side note, yeah, I do feel bad for Randy Orton. What's next for him? I mean, I think the easy way out, he, RKO Nick Aldis. Nick Aldis, keep in mind, he said he's not a retired pro wrestler. He is a former
Mhm.
NWA World Heavyweight Champion. I think that'd be a great backup plan. Let Nick Aldis wrestle in WWE finally. Let Nick Aldis face Randy Orton at WrestleMania. I think that would be a great great substitute here because everyone who follows Nick Aldis knows he's a pro wrestler. Even though he
Mhm.
signed to WWE, he's been the GM for this whole time. But what better way to kind of dust off the wrestling boots, get him back in the ring for another match, and you can bring up, hey, he's wrestled in TNA, he's wrestled for the NWA, he's a former two-time NWA World's Heavyweight Champion. I think build him up as a pro wrestler, get him out of the suit and put him in the ring with Randy Orton. I think that'd be a great backup plan.
Honestly, I agree. Even with the story just makes sense too. Like when when he fined Randy and what Randy
That's
gave him
right. Yep.
like what 50,000 more, and he's like he said this for the future or whatever,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so he finally gave him another RKO. Yeah, man, it's looking like that might be with direction. I see I seen somewhere on Twitter that or X that he's gonna address the Randy Orton's
Okay.
WrestleMania match. So
Okay.
maybe we'll get that. Maybe that'll be a good little surprise. Nice little,
Yeah.
nice little match. I do like I can't wait to talk about the card and go down through predictions. Because I do think you know that a lot of the singles matches that are on here are really, really good builds, really, really good feuds, strong
Mhm.
ones. So
Yeah. So no, I think that's a great way to kind of give Randy Orton a match still. Let him fight Nick Aldis. Nick Aldis, yes, he's an accomplished pro wrestler in his own right. When he signed with WWE, I think a lot of people want to see him wrestle, but he's been GM this
yeah,
whole time. So what better way to
great
reward
GM
him?
too.
Yeah, he's a great GM. So what better way to reward him being a great GM? Give him a WrestleMania match. Let him have a match out there. He can bring out his old ring gear that we've seen in the NWA. It'd be, I think, a great moment for him. Just a great opportunity for him to wrestle on that big
Yeah.
stage. He deserves it. He's done great. If you ever had a chance to watch his work at NWA, he did great promos, great matches. I mean, hell, him and Cody had an amazing match at All In a few years ago. God, that'd
Mm-hmm.
be what was that 2018? God, almost 7 years
18.
ago now. Yeah, for the NWA title. I think that check it out. I think be great for Nick Aldis. Something totally deserved. All right. Last, I know we're running long here. Let me see. Oh, did I close out? I closed out my notes. There we go. Let me bring this back up. Okay, shout out Ray Phoenix. Made his debut last week on SmackDown. Took on Nathan Frazier. That was a fun match there. Very happy
Great
for Ray
match.
Phoenix. Um, I love that they split him and Penta up. So he's on SmackDown, Penta's on Raw. One day the Lucha Brothers will reunite at one point, but great debut here. Great match with Nathan Frazier. That was a lot of fun. Very happy for him in WWE now. All right, Brian. So just to recap, WrestleMania 41, it looks like we have 13 matches confirmed so far. The rumor is 14, 15 total. So uh, maybe Randy Orton gets a match announced elsewhere with
Mm-hmm.
someone else. So right now for night one, the confirmed matches are Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair for the WWE Women's Championship, Gunther versus Jey Uso for the World Heavyweight Championship, Roman Reigns, CM Punk with Paul Heyman in his corner, and Seth Rollins triple threat match. Night two, it's Io Sky, Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley triple threat for the Women's World Championship, Cody Rhodes versus John Cena for the undisputed WWE Championship. And then the other matches, as of this moment, have not been determined which night yet. You got AJ Styles versus Logan Paul, LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu for the US title. And that came out after Jacob defeated Braun Strowman in a last man standing match last week on SmackDown. That was a fun match.
Really fun match.
I think first time Braun Strowman's lost a last man standing match there. So that's
Mm.
interesting. And then let's see. Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez will defend the women's tag team titles after tonight's. Will declare their opponents from a gauntlet match that's later tonight. We'll see who that winner is. Jade Cargill versus Naomi. Braun Breaker, Penta, Finn Balor, and Dominic Mysterio fatal four-way for the IC title. Rey Mysterio versus El Grande Americano. Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre. We have a chance to talk about it. We'll save that for the prediction. I love the
Mm-hmm.
build between the two of them. It's been great. And
Yeah.
then War Raiders defending the World Tag Team titles against the New Day. So that's 13 matches so far. one or two more matches to be added. I think the one that's gonna be added is Randy Orton for sure. And then
maybe women's intercontinental, or
I wonder women's IC. I think Lyra and Bailey will probably win the gauntlet. That's my early prediction for tonight. That's where you get Bailey on the show. Maybe Chelsea Green, US title. US title match. Yeah. At this point, I'm trying to think, is anyone else we're missing? All the other titles, I mean, the tag titles, the other tag titles, but that's gonna be SmackDown probably. So yeah, it's filling up very nicely. A stacked card for WrestleMania 41 next weekend in Las Vegas. So we will do predictions next week and do a review for WrestleMania as well. And yeah, a lot of good stuff. Looking forward to it. On that note, let's start wrapping things up. Brian, where can the Kliqsters find you?
Kliqsters, you guys can find me at BrianTronic on Twitter and Instagram, or X and Instagram.
I'm Baby Huey. Follow me on Facebook at Baby Huey Official, Twitter and Instagram at Baby Huey83. Of course, for everything else, follow us at In The Kliq. If you want to email us, inthetliq@gmail.com. And on that note, let's go home. And that's the bottom line, because Huey said so.